John chapter 2, verse 23. The music you might hear over the microphone here and there is coming from this Hindu temple here, and there's a Muslim mosque just up there, and kind of the sunset here in the back over Penang. Verse 23. Now when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover feast, many believed in his name when they saw the signs that he was doing. Right? So they believed. Why? Because they saw the signs. Remember earlier in this chapter, the sign, the water into wine there at Cana, Galilee, that was as well what made them believe in Jesus. Like this, the same thing here. They saw the sign and therefore, okay? So not because they believed just because what they heard, but because what they saw. Verse 24. But Jesus on his part did not entrust himself to them because he knew all people. Okay, so they believed in him, but then Jesus himself, knew that it's not true faith. This is just because of the signs. Because John clearly as well in the previous verse stated, it's because of the signs they believed. And Jesus knew that they only believed because of the signs. Now, did Jesus need to be God to know that they only believed in him because of the signs? No. Okay? When you have a lot of hungry people, if you give them food, they'll follow you. That's just that. Okay? So if you plant churches or anything like that, and you can give a pastor a salary of, say, $50 a month. The moment somebody comes around with 150, that pastor will leave you and he will go with that guy. I've seen that so often happen in my life. Okay? I know for a fact that lots of people ultimately that you teach or following, they're doing it, because they're getting something out of you. So I'm not God, but I know that. Okay? So Jesus need not have been God to know this. But that's not so much the point here. Again, the point is here, knowing. Jesus knew. Okay? They didn't know, we didn't know, but Jesus knew. We've seen a number of times in this chapter, how his mother believed, although she didn't see. The servants bringing the water, right? I mean, taking that huge risk of taking water from wherever they got it, as we don't know exactly, to the master of ceremonies, just because of the words of the mother of Jesus, actually of Jesus. Okay, so there's that group, and then there's the other group, those who believed because they saw. But Jesus didn't trust them. He didn't entrust himself to them because he knew. Right? Verse 25. And needed no one to bear witness about man, for he himself knew what was in man. So he didn't know that anyone came around and told him, that guy, he actually only believes in you because of that sign you did. If it wasn't for the fact that you turned that water into wine, or that you chased everyone out of this temple, then they would not have believed in you. And Jesus was like, kind of wasting your time here. I don't need you to tell me that. I know it. Okay? There's lots of things in my life that I've done with people or helped with people. I know what is their intention and what they're all about. Okay? You don't need to tell me. And again, that's not, the point is about knowing. Jesus knew. He understood. It's not hidden knowledge. It's open knowledge. Just the last thing I want to say about this is the fact that what is the second thing that happened in the second main thing happening in Genesis, in chapter 2, right? Scene 2. It is a clear, the making or the explanation of the making of man, Adam and Eve. So why would Jesus know? Because he made them, right? He made them. Okay, so again, understand me here correctly. I'm not saying now. So just as a man, he could have known this. Okay, but there's this added mention here of the fact that he knew what is in man. Why? Because in chapter 1, he is a co-creator, right? Like that. He is a creator, like there in Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 2, the making of man. Here, what is in man? Jesus knew because he made them. Okay? So I hope as well you see a next correlation, connection here with Genesis. Genesis chapter 1, John 1, Genesis John 2, with what man and why believe and knowing man, and of the creation of man in Genesis chapter 2 as well. So there's so much more. We will see what happens in chapter 3, right? Think about what happens in chapter 3 and then what happened in chapter 3 of Genesis. We'll see more.